Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. So today we're going to be going over the Conference Tracker 10.0 updates. If you've just joined, thank you so much for joining. Hello, everyone. So my name is Miguel Castellano. Welcome again to today's Conference Tracker Tech Talk. And Rose will be taking over from here.
All right, I'm Rose. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. So this is our agenda today. We're going to go over an overview of some of our new features with the session proposals module, and that's an add-on and how it's an additional package. And that has a lot more features now, so we're going to get into those, as well as going over some of the management details and some pre-existing features we think are important to mention. And then we'll wrap up if we have any questions. All right, so as an overview, we have now made the sessions proposal module as its own package. Previously, this was limited to accepting and rejecting proposals, and now we have taken feedback from our clients and we have applied that to this package. And we now have 9 new features. So we're going to go over those today, and as well as these pre-existing features such as session evaluation report, registration report enhancements, and help desk mobile access. All right. So why this matters. Managing sessions can be sometimes difficult, and having a bunch of session proposals can be an overload and can sometimes just be, a lot to manage. So with this session proposals package, we have everything organized to help the workflow and to distribute the work across reviewers, as well as having a review committee, and taking that workload off of the main admin that would be running the conference. This will give better visibility into the review progress as well, and will help improve fairness and consistency and help just ensure that there's no biased opinions for these session proposals. This can help organize, sort, and prioritize submissions efficiently, and this dashboard is made to have most of the features on it so that it's easily accessible to avoid anything that may be overlooked as well. So we have a lot of the features on the dashboard that are most important that will just make sure that you stay on track, such as like deadlines or the status of certain proposals as well. We have reviewers, review committee, and admin that all work in the same system, and we have it so that that workload can be distributed across that review committee as well. All right, pass it on to Miguel.
Thank you so much, Rose. All right, so moving on to the Session Proposals module. So what is the Session Proposals module? Well, the Session Proposal module is Conference Tracker's answer to abstract management software. This is a great centralized workflow for collecting, reviewing, and deciding on session submissions. The cool thing is you're able to support the entire life cycle from submission through final decision. This is designed to replace manual processes like emails, spreadsheets, and documents. Originally, these session proposals in Conference Tracker were very limited and were limited to a single page where the session proposals could be rejected or accepted. We've taken this and we've expanded it into an entire module that scales from the smallest of conferences to the biggest of conferences. So how is the session proposal module used? Well, first, presenters will submit proposals through a structured online form. Then, administrators can configure and review criteria, timelines, and reviewer access. Reviewers will then evaluate these proposals using score sheets that they can set up during their configuration. And lastly, committees and reviewers will make these final decisions based on the data and feedback that they've received. So what's new in 10.0? So we have some peer review and collaboration enhancements. This introduces a formal peer review process that's built directly into Conference Tracker now. It'll take multiple reviewers to evaluate the same proposal independently. We also have anonymity to ensure consistency and fairness across all submissions. We're also able to support academic, professional, and industry review standards. So going a little bit more over the reviewer management and workload balancing, we have some role-based access that ensures reviewers only see their assigned proposals. Admins can also define reviewer specialties or areas of expertise, as well as setting these limits on how many proposals each reviewer can be assigned. They can add dedicated reviewer and review committee roles. We'll go into this further. We can also review the reviewer workload and the completion status in real time. This helps prevent reviewer fatigue and uneven assignment.
All right, and then we're going to go over those differences in the roles as well as the proposal dashboard and some custom score sheets. All right, so starting off with the reviewer, they have the least capabilities. They are typically subject matter experts or peers who are evaluating these proposals. Their role is to score proposals using the score sheet that will show you how to create, as well as writing comments and optionally recommending revisions. Moving on next to committee members, they have a little bit more positions than the reviewer. So this would be good if you had like a medium to large conference to help take off the workload from the admin point of view, and assigning that to a group of people that would look over the review process. This would usually include people that are senior experts in the field, chairs or co-chairs of the conference session, and sometimes conference leaders. Their role is to define review criteria and priorities and ensure fairness and balance in reviews. They resolve conflicts. So if multiple reviewers are going over a proposal and maybe they have conflicting ideas, they would help delegate that and kind of come to a conclusion and resolve those kind of conflicts, as well as reviewing summary results and making recommendations on what proposals should be accepted or rejected. So for the admin, they have most of these roles, as you can see, and they run the mechanics of the system and they get the final say. So they're going to set up categories such as reviewers, deadlines, score sheets, assign proposals to reviewers. They will also monitor the progress and deadlines of these proposals and make sure that they're met, but they will get the final decision. So even if the review committee makes a decision of something be accepted or rejected, it is up to the admin to make that final call. All right, so for the proposals and reviewer dashboard, most of the features will be accessed from this page, but we also have the side menu over here where you can access those sections as well. This is what it would look like if the package was purchased, and it's really beneficial because it provides a lot of real-time insight of this review progress. As you can see, we have a couple proposals in our test server where it shows pending reviews, active reviews, if they've been accepted, and I think what's really cool is it shows what needs attention. So if you have a deadline of when these proposals need to be done, and it's getting close to the deadline, or maybe there's score conflicts or any issues, it's going to show up there. That way you can address those accordingly and make sure that they're met on time. The reviewer completion, it'll show the proposal status, overall progress, and highlight items that need attention. And I'll go ahead and show you guys. All right, so this is what the dashboard would look like. As you can see, here is where it would show the real-time insight of the progress of where these session proposals live. The first thing I'll go over is the proposal form. All right, so this is one proposal form that everyone would use to submit these session proposals. You can customize these with fields on the right to however you like and whatever you would or would not like it to include. And you also have the option to delete certain fields that maybe you don't think are important to use. So this is just kind of an idea of what it looks like. You can also have text fields to enter it in as well. All right, and you can also include documents down here too. All right, so there's actually a few different ways you can share this as well, which I think would be cool to mention. So there's going to be the share button here, and you can share on your social networks. You can include it on your website, and then you can also send as a link. So you could send this link through an email campaign, whichever way you like, include it on your landing page, and you would copy and paste, and I'll show you what it would look like on their end. So this is how it would look like if they were filling out that session proposal form. And I think that's pretty cool. All right, I think the next thing that we can go over is specialties and categories. Now, if you have certain specialties for reviewers that you want to assign to that may be more specialized in a certain field, or you want to have it a bit more organized and split up those sections, you can do that. So if you had a conference that had public relations, marketing, accounting, a few different things separated like that, you could create that as a specialty over here on the left and then assign it to a category. So this would be really good if you had a really big conference that dealt with a lot of different kind of subjects. And also down here, category specialty matching is where you can make that decision of what gets assigned to what. And I wanted to show you as well, that if you were to go to manage reviewers, this is where you could also assign them to those specialties. All right. And then here's the category assignments. So if you had a session proposal that you also wanted to classify under a certain section, you could also do that by clicking the dot, 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 assign categories, and you could assign whichever categories you would like. Moving on, we have the custom score sheets. Now this is also going to be on that main page where most everything is. It's going to be right here, score sheet. And there's a few different ways you can do this. You have a new template where you can add and delete what you would like as well and kind of make those customizations. You have an industry conference template that kind of has different scoring criteria than the other ones. And then we have the standard academic review, which you can give the name to, describe what they would be reviewing. We have the type, so numeric rating. So 1 could be poor, and then 5 could be great, exceeds expectations, however way you want to classify it. And then we have a yes or no option as well. And then text comments, leave any sort of feedback. This weight right here is also, I think, pretty neat. So if you have a certain section that you value more and you want it to have more relevance, you can do that by having a higher weight. And that'll be taken into consideration with these session proposals being reviewed. All right, and I'll pass it on to Miguel.
Thank you again, Rose. So moving on, next we'll discuss some review visibility options, auto matching, and AI-assisted reviews. So starting off with the review visibility options. This is expanding upon those anonymity features that we were talking about earlier. You can choose between 3 different modes. We have single blind, where the submitter is invisible to the reviewer. We have double blind, where both the reviewer and the submitter are invisible to each other. And we have open review models, where everyone can fully see who is submitting and who is reviewing. You can also control whether these reviewer and submitter identities are visible. This helps support transparency, anonymity, and compliance-based workflows. This can be found on the session proposal dashboard under score sheet. Moving on to auto matching, we have introduced 3 ways now to assign these reviewers to proposals. We have random matching, which distributes proposals randomly across all reviewers. We also have specialty-based matching, which matches the reviewers with relevant specialties to proposal categories. Lastly, we also have manual matching. This assigns specific reviewers to each proposal manually. We also have a couple different matching configurations. This includes 3 reviews per proposal. Each proposal requires a configurable amount of reviews. The default is 3. We also have a maximum capacity. These are the maximum capacities that can be set per reviewer. The default is 10, but this can also be configured. Moving on to the AI-assisted reviews. Let's go over how it works a little bit. So the reviewers will be able to have the option to summarize these proposals with AI. This will reduce the workload for the reviewer. The AI analyzes the proposal content against evaluation criteria. It can generate suggested responses and numeric scores as well as written feedback. These suggestions appear directly within the review form. Reviewers decide how or if this AI input is used at all in settings. Passing it back to Rose for section 3.
All right, we're going to go over some of the management features for this module. So first we have deadlines and automated reminders. So this allows you to set these deadlines for the session proposals of when they need to be met. This just ensures that everyone is staying on time, on track, and gives enough time to review those decisions and anything that comes after that that may be going on. This will also send automated reminders to keep reviews on schedule. So this will also be on that front page of the session proposals dashboard. All right, and then the rebuttal phase. So this allows submitters to respond to feedback and will give a little additional context before making that final decision. This supports informed and balanced outcomes. So this is an optional period during which submitters can read reviews and provide comments. This could be if there's needed clarification, corrections, or disagreements. The rebuttal is a response submitted by a submitter to review comments, and By default, this will be visible to all reviewers and admin, but you can configure the visibility. And then I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. All right, so let's see, for example, if someone submitted a review and they submitted reviewer feedback, the rebuttal could be maybe that, maybe there's a little disagreement or maybe you think something needs to be added. That's what this would be important for, is kind of providing that input and feedback. And yeah, this is what it would look like and help before making those final decisions from the admin point of view and just get everyone's perspective and ideas on it. All right, and then next we have the decision queue. So this is where you could make those decisions. So there's going to be a list of the session proposals that have been submitted. And if you click the ... set decision, that's where that decision that you could be recorded would be. So you could accept reject it, or put it back in pending if you're not sure and you want to come back to it. And as you can see here where it says reviews complete 0 out of 2, this is why that configuration that we talked about earlier for setting how many reviews can be per person would be important to have. Because let's say you put that you wanted 10 reviews, that might be a lot for one person. And if you were to go and look and make this decision and see there's only been 5 out of 10 that have been done, then that's something to consider and kind of will help you delegate that workload depending on how many people you have reviewing on the committee. All right, and then we have some platform enhancements. So the help desk is something that we've had previously, and we had some enhancements on that, but it's now accessible on mobile apps. So the attendee app as well as the conference tracker app, this is where that will be accessible. So if there was tickets that somebody wanted to submit, if something was going wrong or they needed something to be sorted out, they could go ahead and make that ticket request where it would show the ticket number as well as the subject, and could also help, like from the admin point of view, kind of decide which might be more important, or something might be a quick question, something might have to get a little bit more support. So this would be very beneficial for conferences and ensure that everything is smooth and there's no issues that pop up. Okay, so some pre-existing features as well. We have the detailed session evaluation report. This is good just to get an overall summary of the reviewer comments as well as the scores, and will help filter by presenter and session, and useful for after a conference to get those kind of statistics. And then we have the exhibitor registration report that has been enhanced and just includes some additional things like booth number and price, and gives an overall view of the exhibitor participation. I'll show an example of what the detailed session evaluation report looks like. So this doesn't have too much data on it, but if you had a big conference, this would be very helpful because it could show the rating by presenters, it could show the rating for the presentation in general, as well as how many attendees have scanned in and any comments that they leave. So this is another way to get some feedback as well. All right, guys. So I know that was a lot, but I think this is a really cool add-on feature and module to have. If you value session proposals, this is very detailed and gives a lot more options. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free. I see a question by Thomas Cruz. All right, and then we actually have a Heba that could also answer some of these questions too.
So I can read it for you. It says,
Okay.
do reviewers enter themselves and create their own account, or does the admin need to enter and give rights to the reviewers?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So reviewers will have access to the Conference Tracker web app. They can use their email and password to sign in, and then from their dashboard, they can go in and review the proposals that they've been assigned to.
All right, Thomas. See. All right, we've got another couple questions. How do we download a report of the submitted sessions before accepting the proposals? I think I can show where that would be. That should be under analytics, reports. And then was there like a specific report that you'd be looking for? Heba, do you know if there's a specific report that would be good for before the proposals?
I think we have session exports, but we currently don't have any exports for proposals themselves.
And we have another question, I think, coming up here. It says, can presenters submit more than one proposal?
As far as I know, yes, they should be able to. And I see one here about how would you schedule proposals after they've been accepted. And actually, I can show that really quickly. So after you accept a proposal, they're going to show up here on the schedule builder page. and then you'll be able to drag and drop them into a specific time slot. And if you want, you can add things like the attendance mode. This is some data that's required to convert it into a session. And once you're done, you'll hit save, and then it'll be officially converted into a session. And once you do that, you'll also be able to notify presenters of their time slots. This is something that you can do once the schedule is finalized. It will send presenters an automated email telling them what time and which room they'll be presenting in. And that's that.
Thank you, Heather.
You're
I
welcome.
believe Patricia has another question. She's asking if they could get a list of submitted proposals that includes a form that has headings as columns in a spreadsheet with the submitted data. Is there a way to get that?
Sorry, this is to get a report on what was submitted?
It's their submitted proposals. They
Okay,
include a
yeah.
form.
Currently, we don't have any reports or exports for session proposals, so it all have to be done in the user interface.
Is that something that we're going to work on in the future? I think maybe adding for
Yeah, I think
score
it's a great
distribution for real
idea.
loads. Yeah.
Can you export those from the screens that they're on, possibly, or no?
You could just print the screen like while you're on that,
Right.
like, or convert it to a PDF, then print it.
All right. Is there any more questions?
Oh, I just saw the one about the review progress export. Yeah, that would be the only export that we have. If you want to see the reviewers, like what percentage of the proposals they've already completed, like there's an export for that, but not for the submission side.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, then I think maybe we can wrap this up. I appreciate you guys all for joining, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.